My name's T, baby.
I know who you are.
Thank you. Let me get into it. Today's episode is about forgiveness. Yeah, that's right, forgiveness. One of the hardest things to do, but everybody want to be forgiven. I'm going to start off doing something different. Start off with a Bible scripture. Colossians chapter 3, verse 13. Bear with each other and forgive one another in any grievances against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgives you. Now, that's very powerful because we need to forgive as we ask to be forgiven. And I look at it, God don't bring up what you do wrong when you ask for forgiveness. Now, I ain't going to preach to you. Just throwing it out there, true fact. You know, he don't bring up whether you was late or you forgot to pick me up or, you know, after you ask for forgiveness. And it's the hardest thing to do. A lot of people go through the world holding grudges and broken relationships because we won't forgive. And the sad thing is the other person might not even know how we really feel, or they do know and they're not strong enough to come to you and ask for forgiveness. So I come up with different ways to go out and when I go through things. So when someone wrong does me wrong, or I sit there and I contemplate, you know, and if I can confront them, I go confront them. I say, hey, you know, you really hurt me when you did this. You really violated my trust when you did that. I don't understand the method behind your madness, but explain to me. Like, let me see where you were coming from. That way I can break barriers with this person, you know, get an understanding. Try to empathize with that person or what they was going through or what even they was even thinking. And that helps me hold on to my forgiveness. Also, if I can't talk to them, I sit the time and sit down and write down the pros and cons. So every little good thing they ever done, every negative thing. And most people, they only did a couple negative things. So to me, that's worthy enough, especially if I can talk to them, to learn how I can forgive them, to get the steps so I can forgive them. Now, I know everything is not simple as I make it seem, but some of these steps can help. It can honestly help, especially confronting it. That's one of the biggest things we do. We hide our emotions. We hide how we really feel because God forgive if a person don't want to hear where you're coming from. Now, this is trouble when, you know, forgiving, because I'm always asking for forgiveness. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I mess up a lot. I mess up even when I don't even know I messed up. So you know how that is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mess up. But the thing about it, when I mess up and I know I messed up, I always ask for forgiveness. I'm not too big to ask for an apology or tell someone, hey, look, I apologize. I was wrong. And I can always be wrong. So is the next person. We're not perfect. I'm going to say that again. We're not perfect. So you're going to mess up. You're going to do something that someone doesn't like or someone don't understand, or you're going to miscommunicate something. But learn to forgive each other. I done known brothers and sisters not talk to each other for years for something so small that could be fixed within 2 or 3 seconds of an apology, nice little conversation, over a beer, and some of y'all folks, over a drink. Yeah. So you have to take your time, understand, and forgive. It's better that way. You don't walk around here, that person, you haven't forgave that person, or have worse, that person dies. You can't talk to that person to say, hey, I'm sorry. I wish I would have talked to you when you was alive. You can't say that. You know what I'm saying? This is too late. That person is passed along. They can't talk back to you. And now you're dealing with guilt. I know a lot of people that probably died with guilt. Or a lot of persons died and that another person never said, hey, I'm sorry. You gotta live with that stain. Is it really worth that? I'm a person that values people. A friend of mine always say, hey T, you always see the best in people. I try. I always try to see the best in you. Because you are who I think you are. I don't need to point out the negatives. I say, you are who I think you are. I don't need to point out the negatives. That means I see you on a different level than you see yourself. I see you on a different level than I see yourself, than you see yourself. I ain't gonna get too far off the topic. I'm gonna tell y'all a situation where someone forgave me. And I really needed to be forgiven. I mean, especially like being in a relationship or a friendship. I kind of didn't do right by them. Let's say that. Being young, not thinking, boneheadish. Thinking I was slicker than a can of oil. No, I wasn't slick at all. And I end up hurting that person. The person found out I was being slick, and I end up hurting that person. I felt so low. So low. Because at that instant, I knew how much that person really cared about me. And when you realize, sometimes it's too late, But I realized, they really, truly care. And I had to ask for forgiveness. I had to ask and beg for forgiveness. I prayed to the Lord for forgiveness, and I forgave myself. And that person forgave me and never brought it back up. Said, hey, you know what? I understand. You make mistakes. You gonna make mistakes. But what do you do now after you make your mistake? Now that was powerful. After you make your mistake, what do you do next? So you ask for forgiveness and you try to never make that same mistake. I believe that. God say, forgive a person 7 times over and over times that and times that around again. And if a person can forgive that many times, and somebody who created you can forgive you that many times, why you can't forgive like that? What make you greater than the Creator? Nothing. So forgive those people. You know, people got a saying, you know, forgive but don't forget. I'm with that. But forgive from the heart and your soul. Forgive and continue a relationship with that person. You know, some people say, hey, look, I forgive them, but I ain't fucking with them. It's just real. I forgive them, but I can't fuck with them. Well, because you still got that stain on. I'm not saying that you're supposed to jump up for glory, you know what I'm saying, after you forgive them, but can they earn that trust again? Yes. Yeah, you'll be very cautious to deal with that person. But in time, heals all. Stop holding grudges, people. Stop. Stop letting too many years go by without talking to the person that pissed you off or breaking bread with that person. Stop letting too many nights go by and you're still angry with a person. Accept the apology. If it comes from the heart, accept it. And try to forgive for your sake and that person's sake. And you'll feel better. That's love. That's peace. That's the burst our way. Love, peace. Because that's definitely the burst our way. I don't have no enemies. No enemies. And even on this show today, I'm going to say this. I forgave everyone, and I forgive anyone who think that I didn't forgive them. I forgive you, my brother, my sister, my mother, my friends. I forgive it. From my heart, I forgive it. But sometimes it's best to let things go so you can grow. So I forgive. Strong. Definitely. I love y'all, and I'm going to keep this short tonight. Peace and be safe. Like they say in church, tap your neighbor and say you forgave him. Tap your neighbor and say you forgave him. I'm out.
Hello, children. Black Jack Johnson, NYC, ROCKING, sun in the moon, earth, stars, and planets. Before it's all done, y'all gon' all understand it like, ha, the Hades can't with it, cause they mom and they sister and girl in love with it. Sam man, holla black, come with it. Spin the record till the record done spinning. Up top is you getting up with it. Dirty is you getting crunk with it. Smoke is smoke from coast to coast, but careful at first, y'all be that overdose.